What do you look for when you're investing in a startup?
I think the most important thing, because you're taking on the risk, they can send you their financials, but at the end of the day, it's a load of rubbish, isn't it? Like, it's end of this absolute nonsense if they say we're going to make X amount of money by this date. It's just a load of rubbish. But what I look for is the founder going to do what he roughly says? Yeah. Is he malleable? Is he going to take advice on really experienced members around him? I also think, okay, how is his market knowledge? How deep is the market? What kind of exits are available? What's their sales strategy? Because, for instance, let's say it's a company that sells to 10 companies in the UK, the close rate needs to be super high.
Yeah.
Because if they burn that, then their return isn't going to be great. Their annual recurring revenue is going to be really low. But then if there's a huge market of, I don't know, I was going to give a random example of like thousands of companies to sell to, or like millions of companies to sell to, the close rate has to be quite small.
Yeah.
And then the potential upside is if they get going, they can start selling to a lot of people and the scale's there.
Yeah. That's really interesting.
And or if you're selling to like government entities or universities, universities and government entities are a pain in the arse to sell to. So if they're selling to them, it's quite off-putting.
Yeah, fair enough. And then the other thing that I always hear is when investing in startups, people are actually investing in the founder.
Yeah.
Rather than, obviously you're investing in the business as well, but a lot of it is down to like how charismatic and how believable the founder is in what they're selling. Is that something that you'd say?
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing that I fully believe, if the founder can't sell the vision, then I will just never invest in them.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, there's a couple early stage companies that I've had before where they send an advisory body to represent the company. And I'm thinking, if you can't sell your own company, and the whole purpose of me getting involved anyway is to learn off these interesting founders. So yeah, completely think that's really valid,
Yeah, and like even as like so for Millennial Money, Shaq and I, we've not really thought about raising capital. We've had like conversations, but I think we enjoy like bootstrapping it at this stage. But even jumping on calls where you're having to do sales calls for so many things anyway, but whenever we're talking about Millennial Money and some of our products and offerings to businesses and clients, it's such an easy conversation to have because it's what we're doing day in and day out and what we've had to build up from the ground up. And then obviously when I'm having to run pitches or presentations for things which aren't my own, it is a bit, there's a lot more friction. So it should come easier to founders when they're trying to sell their own vision.
Yeah. And I completely rate that you guys are bootstrapping because you always want to know from the founder's perspective how much sweat equity they're putting into the business themselves. If they're not putting in any cash themselves, like why should an investor invest in them and they clearly don't believe in it from not putting in their savings.
Yeah.
And if that is their end goal, they want to be a unicorn company and that's what they want to do, and that's their absolute passion, they should be chucking everything in there. And I think one common mistake and it was very easy to raise money last year, which is going to be very different this year. Mm-hmm. My advice to a lot of startups is just bootstrap for a lot longer. Make sure you've got numbers to show rather than being too conceptual these days, because I think last year might have worked. We're currently in a bear market quite clearly. There's a recession coming through. People want to see numbers. They don't want to just hear about some crazy story.
I saw some funny video on LinkedIn about someone taking the piss out of VCs when last year they like had all this budget and they were like, yeah, go out, we need to make sure you party. And then this year they're like, are you sure you need to have a social? Like we've got someone here who can just like come in and like entertain your employees and stuff. And the change in the VC market as well, because last year money was just being thrown around. And obviously this year everyone's a lot more, they're scrutinizing everything a lot more.
Yeah, they are. They're still sat on a lot of dry powder, which is capital available left in their funds. But they're a little bit more coy than they were last year. So what I'll just definitely recommend this year for the startups who are struggling to fundraise is just bootstrap for a little bit longer and try to be more intelligent with your marketing, your sales strategy. Try to have some interesting strategic partnerships out there.
Yeah.
Your angels, don't just take money off them. Try to take money off somebody that's actually going to give you their network.
So this is a really interesting point. So I learned this off of another friend she was talking for her company, Amalia. I think you might have heard of Amalia. They raised money a few years ago, and she's actually writing something at the moment. And she talks about the idea of smart money and dumb money.
Yeah.
So there's dumb money, which is people that will invest in your company and just be like, yeah, piss off now, like go and make me some more money. And then there's smart money where people actually like invest into your company and then want to help you make more money and actually help you as an advisor. Is that something that you think people should be conscious of, or just take what they can get?
It depends on the situation, but I do think they should be cognizant of it, because if their opportunity is great, there will be people there looking to invest, but you don't want someone investing just for the tax incentive. Because if they're there just for the tax incentive and they don't really care about the founder and the return they're going to get on them, that can be kind of classified as dumb money in some ways, if there was other investors wanting to invest and would have brought a network with them.
Yeah.
So yeah, there is good and bad money you can take, but sometimes you have to just take what you can get, I suppose. But I would focus on strategic partnerships with investors that are going to put their money into the company, not just act as an advisor. And then they're going to introduce you to the network. They're going to introduce you to venture capital firms in Series A. They're going to introduce you to their family offices with big pockets.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's really interesting.
Maybe help them with the sales strategy, help them with their marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah.